You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly ReQua, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly ReQua. Today we're talking to one of our favorite vets, Dr. Laura Brown, owner of Green Tree Animal Hospital in Libertyville, Illinois, as we discuss vitamins. Welcome, Laura.
Hey, Polly, how's it going?
Good. So, do dogs need vitamins?
Good question. I think maybe could think about it as far as people do too. Do people need vitamins? And I think the answer to that is only if you're not eating a well-balanced diet do you absolutely have to supplement with vitamins. So the same theory holds true for dogs.
So do I need supplements if we're getting a puppy?
No, you need to feed a high-quality, balanced puppy diet.
Okay. And then what about in the adult life? Same?
Same. If you're, in my opinion, if you're feeding a well-balanced dog food that your dog likes, is eating well, has good quality stool samples, healthy hair coat, lots of energy, unless they have a medical condition, you don't need to add vitamins to their diet.
And what about, and I'm using this as a human, but when you're super active, you have to take a multivitamin. What about if you have a dog that's super active? Same?
Yeah. Once again, there are diets that are made for performance dogs. So like the sled dogs are going to eat a different diet than our, backyard suburban pets that just go on the leash and walk around the neighborhood or go to the dog park a couple times a week. Mm-hmm. So there's diets that are scaled and geared for that. I would say there's some disadvantages to doing vitamins in dogs if you don't know why you're doing it. I mean, there's definitely ways you can overdo it. Like dogs don't need extra vitamin D like we do in the winter here in Illinois when there's no sun. And so I will say I take extra vitamin D in the winter, but because my diet's not overly high in vitamin D. But dogs, if you give them a whole bunch of vitamin D, you will throw off their balances and cause vitamin D toxicity. So that could be bad.
Oh.
In puppies, people always, this hasn't happened for me in a long time, but for growth and things like that, there was also always a thought that maybe the large breed puppies needed to have extra calcium to grow big bones and be healthy, but that can overdo things and cause an imbalance between calcium and phosphorus and vitamin D and cause more problems than it could help.
And what about an aging dog?
So aging dogs, diets and dietary requirements change some depending on what's going on with them in terms of kidney health and liver changes and arthritis and things like that. But there are also diets geared towards that. There are over-the-counter senior diets that lower the protein, add some glucosamines for joint health, change up the fiber content a little bit to keep GI health happy. But adding extra calcium like women might do as we age is a bad idea. Adding other things like vitamins, guinea pigs need vitamin C. Dogs don't need extra vitamin C unless they have a medical condition that requires true vitamin supplementation. Like sometimes we'll supplement with vitamin E as an anti-inflammatory for dogs that have liver disease or skin disease or things like that. But I wouldn't do that randomly on a otherwise healthy senior pet.
So really, if you're just, if you have a really good dog food and you're maybe doing, which we already discussed, fish oil, and then as the pet gets older, glucosamine, that would be fine.
Right, because I don't consider fish oils and glucosamines actual vitamins.
Oh,
they're
okay.
Supplements, but they're not true vitamins. Like vitamin A and E and D, like I said, people take that, calcium. I mean, the reason people take multivitamins and things like that is because they have certain, like older women take it for calcium for osteoporosis. Dogs don't get osteoporosis, so we don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
There have been a few cases where I've had some clients who insist on home cooking or making home cooked diets. And home cooked diets are not completely nutritionally balanced. unless you're doing it to the letter, have consulted with a nutritionist, and know exactly what ingredients you're putting in there. But dogs have certain requirements that people don't. So home cooking is hard. So I have on occasion told owners to put in a multivitamin if they're home cooking. And there are pet multivitamins. I would never tell someone to use like Centrum for people, but they're called pet tabs. And it's a multivitamin for dogs. It's a brand. You can buy it in the pet store. I think they're relatively safe. I wouldn't say that anybody needs to go do that. If they feel the need to do that, then they should be talking to their vet about their diet. But if people are home cooking, that's the one time I say the dog should probably have a multivitamin, because there's no guarantee that they're getting the right amounts of and ratios of food in the home cooking that people are doing.
Yeah, I did read that you're not supposed to give your pet a human multivitamin. And so I guess vitamins and minerals should be in the correct ratio for your pet's good health and through the vet.
Exactly. And they're not dogs aren't people. They have different requirements. They manufacture different amino acids on their own and don't have some of their own, and they get it through their dog food. And all the major pet manufacturers know that and get that, and those requirements are regulated by AFCO, which is a ruling body that kind of makes sure that all the bags of food that get to market have all the necessary ingredients in them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So are there any other tips for vitamins and minerals for our podcast listeners?
I think if anything, just if you think your dog needs a vitamin, you should chat with your veterinarian about why you think that, and let your veterinarian help you sort out the pros and cons of supplementing those kinds of things.
Great. Well, we certainly appreciate all your tips and look forward to having you back on the podcast.
Thanks, Polly. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.